Hey, welcome in to the GASOCast. Back to back fall tour finale. We were in Dallas on Saturday, Houston on Sunday. We are home now, all back to health, all, I guess, sleeping better. But we're here. We got a lot for you today, so I'm gonna run through our housekeeping real quick so we can jump straight to players and teams and bold predictions and storylines around the state. But first, the Gasso Fast Break is popping. Lyndon is killing it with his content. And if you loved his tweet the other day, which may have been the best tweet I've ever seen about Texas grassroots basketball, you're going to love the newsletter. He crushes it every week, and we got some really, really fun things coming out. We got team rankings. That will also be free on Twitter. We got the 25 and 26 rankings dropping soon. High school tournament superlatives, which is a really fun segment that we do as a team. So you might want to subscribe. The Recruiting Simplified newsletter goes out once a week. I am dropping a lot of free recruiting stuff, as always. Me and Blue, a cup of hoops, sponsored by Synergy. That comes at you every other week. We just chose to do the GASOcast because we needed the full team after our notebooks were overflowing this weekend. And then lastly, it's media season for the Gasso crew. We will be everywhere. Make sure you are following us, and we're going to put out a lot of information, a lot of our opinion. And buckle up. It's time to go. Let's jump into storylines right now. Mike, I like yours to kind of tip us off. Why don't you give us your storyline heading into the high school season around Texas?
Yeah, I feel like this season is going to be really heavy on senior leadership. I think over the weekend we saw there was a lot of urgency to be great in our Gasso Fall Tour, and it was led by a lot of seniors. Just look at that Duncanville versus Allen game at Hebron. You look at the Legacy game versus the Tascasita down in Houston. It's just a lot of people playing some pissed off basketball in a good way in October. And that all stems from there's a lot of unfinished business. I think there's high level players at every region that haven't accomplished the goal that they want is win a state championship. And you're starting to see that urgency to be great early and often, and it comes over in the fact that I'm getting calls about the fact that Allen Duncanville was one of the best fall games people have ever seen. And I mentioned on social media that the Gasso provides a platform, and then the players take over. And you saw this weekend in many games, it's some of their last dress rehearsals before it's time to get for real. And you can see there's urgency now, and to see that in the fall game, it means it's going to be a special time. And I don't care about who's, like we talk about people who leave the state. Well, this weekend we saw that there's going to be a lot of high-level basketball and a lot of dudes ready to make some noise.
Definitely. We are alive and well here in Texas. Lyndon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we kind of on that same point. There is a lot of talent here, and it's easy to see that at an event like TABC where you have 400 some odd teams coming to the same place. But something about going back-to-back days in two different cities and getting high-level games all over the place. I mean, it's tough. We had 96 teams in DFW, 48 in Houston, and they all showed out. There were some of the best games of the fall. I mean, that Duncanville Allen was like, I mean, that could have been a regional finals type of game. With the energy in the stands, even with a fall crowd, was crazy. But just, it's not just the top of the chart games, it's the other ones, because there's talent on every court, for whether that's 1 through 4 at Hebron or the Colony or all over the MI3 Center in Houston. There is talent to go around in every class, and we're seeing a lot of that this fall.
That's a good word, Lyndon. I also want to bring up, not everybody that we talked about today, like I just scrolled through the list, and we are saving some stuff for the newsletter. So if you're not talked about here, it's not because you didn't play well. Go check Twitter. Go subscribe to the newsletter. We are going to cover it all. But quite frankly, there were too many good performances to cover in a 20-25 minute show. So just a little forewarning there. But I'm going to jump in here, and I was to kind of all of your points. The talent in Texas is really rich right now. And then I started, some rankings dropped. And so, our rankings are coming out probably next week. And I started combing through some of the districts and like where I would like to put some people. And I was just looking at the districts, and I was like, wow, there are a lot of districts of deaths. And I was kind of describing a district of death as 3 or more teams that are definitely going to be in the top 25 at some point this year. and that are going to be fighting for a district title. I'm not going to read them every single one of them, but you know who you are if you hear your district called out. In 6A, you got District 3, 5, 11, 19, 23, 28. And these are really just rich in talent. In 5A, you've got District 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good luck in that region. 19, 26. If you're catching my drift here, go look up the UIL realignment and go look at what I'm talking about. There are going to be some insane district races, and it's just going to be a lot of fun heading into the high school season to kind of see when these teams get to face off and then how they perform in district. Blue?
Yeah, part of the pulse is that people are ready for basketball. I mean, we had over 300 teams come collectively through 4 GASO Fall Tours. And then, you know what I love? I love the passion of the spectator, the fan. How many emails and DMs did we get yesterday because we're not perfect. We had to flip one score. The parents want to see that their team went 2-0 in Houston because 1-1 was not good enough. That's the kind of passion that they're bringing. And also along the lines of being the sense of, I'm getting hyped up right now because I'm so excited. And,
yes.
and is that the sense of urgency is the next man up. Timmons has talked about this a bit ago, but also he's also talked about the next man up. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing as one class exit, these players are taking it upon themselves to be that guy and to move the team forward. So it was very exhausting weekend, but it was also just a fun weekend of just basketball and passion and people loving it. Some, like you said, some rankings drop. People like them. They don't like them. They're going to like ours. They're not going to like ours. And that's just what it's going to be.
Well said. I love that. That's great.
I had my coffee this morning, guys.
It's cold. It's officially practice season here. This is nice. Okay, let's get into some players. Who are guys, eye catchers? We were kind of coming and going all weekends, getting to watch snippets of games, see halves at different points. But who caught your eye specifically through some of those games? Mike, I'm going to pass it to you. We actually saw this guy together, and he was hooping.
Yeah, Jonathan Williams, 2026 Mansfield Timberview. The best time to catch my eye, y'all's eye, any evaluator, any media's eye is probably when they're going to a court to watch somebody else. That's why, anytime you have an opportunity to play against somebody and you know their name, guess what? That's your opportunity to go at them. And I went to go pop in and look at Dawson Batee. It was 9:00 in the morning. I wanted to see what Dawson Batee was up to. Heard some good things about him. And all of a sudden, Jonathan Williams went on an absolute heater. Didn't miss a shot in the second half. I watched him at 5 threes. I was sitting that Timberview coaching staff, and the conversation started he's been really good for us. And then he hits two in a row. He's like, yeah, he's been doing that. Then he hits another one. He's like, yeah, he's playing really well right now. And then he hits 4, and it's like, we just looked at each other with that look, and they knew they had a real dog this year for them at the point guard position. So, I was planning on being there for about 5 to 10 minutes to keep moving to different gyms, but I wasn't going to leave until he missed a shot, and he didn't. So shout out to him for taking advantage of that. And Timberview has a really high-level guard, and a college coach reached out to me and said, I saw some highlights on this kid. I'm going to reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved Coach Workman's tweet after the event. He said players that caught my eye, and he just listed his whole team. It's good stuff. Really good stuff. Another guy who's been catching some real traction lately, Blue, Zylen Bernard, Denton Ryan, 2027. Tell us a little bit about his game.
The first thing that you're going to see from him is that he has length, and that length translated into him playing hard defensively and also being able to use his body and body control, get into the rim to go finish. He can hit the outside shot. He can go and get through defenders and split defenses and go score with little jumpers and get into the rim and finishing. A lot to like, only a 2027, but he was able to go and score, and there's other guys along with him on that Denton Ryan team. And this is going to be a team that you and I saw last year early on, Mass, that they exploded. Well, this year they have more players and complementary players at each position that they really look good. And Zylen Bernard really came out with a lot of force in continuing his momentum. Hopefully that's going to bleed into the start of the season.
Yep. I'll hop in and give my take here on Luke Fabian Keller, 2025. Obviously, we all know Keller star-studded with Brooks Barr last year. Brooks departs, goes on to play really high major basketball. And, how's the team going to be different? And obviously you've got Steven Ramirez stepping up, making plays. But then you've got this guard who has come a long way. His name's Luke Fabian. And he just has great feel. He's a paint getter. And they played Oak Cliff, Faith Family, and I think they played Lancaster. Is that correct, Mike? And dudes could not stay in front of Luke. And those are two teams where it's hard to get by guys. And there's a lot of college prospects on the floor. And Luke just did a great job of breaking guys down, using pace, feel, his vision. He get to the paint and make plays for others. Really, really thought highly of this kid, and he made a statement in my eyes. Lyndon, why don't you round us out in Dallas, and we'll jump to Houston after that. Lyndon?
He might be frozen.
He is frozen. Lyndon. All right. Well, we're going to jump to Houston here. Mike, why don't you give us your Houston player?
Yeah, for me, Reagan Vargas of Empowering Others. Anytime they're on the court, and we were at MI3, and I would glance over there, it was always him making a play. And it was just no nonsense, pick and roll. The defenders don't figure out is it a switch? What's going on? He stops and pops, hits a three. Transition, he's never sped up. He gets to the rim, finishes it through contact. Mid-range pull-up. It just felt like every time I glanced over there in the 2 games he played, he was always in control of the situation. And that's what you want in a point guard. It's the easiest for a coach to have a guard like Reagan who's able to just run the show and never gets too high or too low.
Blue, Mac Dioff is a guy that we touted at Houston PSAT, now at Xavier Academy. Made a big impact in our eyes.
Man, 6'7", 6'8", a guy that can put on the floor and go. Like, he's got length, he's got athleticism, the mobility, everything that you want in a forward. He was able to do. Like, he was knocking down some jumpers, but his biggest contribution was keeping the bigs off balance, especially when they were fighting with a Tascasita, because he can put on the floor and then he can go. And I'm sorry they weren't. So that was I was thinking of Tascasita versus
Legacy.
Yes, but regardless, I had the team wrong that they're playing. But just in general, McAdoo is a guy that's just already jumping up our rankings. Like, we've talked about it, we saw it so many times consistently from him. And you know what? He'll go and dip inside and play against a bigger guy and go score. But athletically, everything you want. He's got the team to go along with it that's going to feed him the ball, put him in the right situations. He's a fun watch. Like, he can really go.
Yeah, absolutely. And for to show you people watching the progression of players, like Mac Dioff was a big time interior player. I felt like as a sophomore last year, and that's kind of, we have him. And Blue is seeing something else a year later. You're seeing the evolution of players. And that just shows, man, all this stuff is fluid. It's like water. It's always moving. Players are always getting better. You're always changing the minds when you get better. And I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to talk about Jamil Adelon. I think I said that right, from Katy Pato. This is a sophomore, a 2027, with a wicked first step. He's a playmaker. He has a nose for scoring the basketball, and just a bright future. I am so excited to see this kid again. And I think he's got a real chance to make some noise in Houston. Lyndon hopefully will be with us soon, and we'll come back to his eye catchers, but me, Blue, and Mike are going to continue on. So these are, our next segment is called Don't Blink. Who are the guys that are just going to be true showmen this year, that are going to live on the timeline and make plays every single week? Mike, let's start with you.
Yeah, it has to be Lance Carr from Kimball.
Yeah.
Literally anything can happen when he's on the court, and Kimball's already a fun watch to begin with. They're flying up and down. What I loved about Lance last year, welcome back, Lyndon. What's good?
Hey, Lindo.
What I loved about Lance,
you did win the stirring contest, Lyndon, for a little while.
Jesus.
What I loved about Lance is last year when Kimball would play, some of his best plays were blocks at the rim. He's not afraid to go up and meet you at the rim on the defensive side, but he's crashing the glass on the offensive side, which means a lot of just insane tip dunks. And as a film guy, media guy, when you're able to do something that still impresses me, because I feel like I've seen everything, Lance Carr is one of those guys I'm like, oh, okay, that's something different. So, yeah, don't blink when Lance Carr is on the court.
And then let's jump back to your eye catchers, okay? Let's start with your one in DFW and then just keep it running through Houston.
Yeah, for me, it was a long day on Saturday in at Hebron, and I was kind of dreading the drive to Houston. Packing things up, getting ready to go another day on Sunday. But at the 6:55 tip, Luke Susko shows up, and he is all business. I think he had a 4 possession stretch where he goes stealing a dunk, hits a three and one layup, and then he does the old chunk the ball as hard as you can off the backboard to himself, kick it out. Wish it was a straight assist, but it was actually a one more pass to it and made three. But
Well, hockey assist.
Yeah, hockey assist, perfect. One of those, just a really strong 4 stretch possession gave me the energy to make it to Houston that night. So thank you, Luke, for that. But
Me and Michael call those
email I got
Celsius
in.
guys. Big Celsius guys.
Yeah, big Celsius guy.
Yeah, and then going to Houston, Roy Shelton was really, really good in our late slate for Cy Park. I mean, he was giving Bush the business, just getting downhill, playing with a lot of feel, finishing with a high, soft touch around the rim. He's creative and inventive in traffic, and I really liked what I saw from him. Just being a bucket getter, just kind of clear out. I'm going to go do my work, and if they send a double, I'm going to kick it out and find the open guy.
Well said. We are now moving on to the true showman, the don't blink players or you might miss something. And I'm going to hop in with my guy. It's Desmond Jones. We're familiar with this guy, 5A state champ from Lancaster. I just feel like he's kind of flying under the radar. The kid is phenomenal. He's a seasoned guard who's seen it, done it all, and he just played really clean and efficient basketball this season. So smooth. So much pace to his game. He can score in the mid-range. He can get downhill. He is so fun to watch, and I just think he's a guy who I don't want us as a collective grassroots media, Twitter people. I don't want us to discount him because he's already done it. Like, we just got to enjoy this guy because he truly is a showman, and he is wicked crafty and talented. Blue?
Romeo Waits from Trophy Club, Byron Nelson. I think a little bit of my theme was that you have the length, you have the athletic ability. It was jumping off the court for me. And so, like, with him being a 2027 and even talking to head coach Brad Montgomery, there's a light that just his eyes get big, the light goes off in him, and he knows he has a player. And the things that I really thought that he did well was kind of play within the offense, be balanced. I was watching him play Lovejoy, and he was able to get the ball on the perimeter and just rip it and go. And he just had a lot of just like natural talent and feel to get to the basket to go finish. And Lyndon also came in at one point, and we watched them together. And I mean, this is a guy that just is going to pop in that he did a lot of things to get that check mark by me by his name and to talk about him.
Lyndon Kensington Candler, not a shy guy on this show. He crushes it. So what did he do this Saturday?
Yeah, when I saw the term showman on this segment, I was like, oh, that's a no-brainer because he just is, electric. You put him in the game and you're expecting 20, 30 points just out of him, just, without any context to it. He was able to hit shots from all over the place. He's, one of the most, just the way he can create his own shot is something that is going to translate because he does it with speed. He does it on balance. And his shot making ability is just, off the charts. But this Little Elm team around him, Darius Johnson, Eli Fegan, some of those guys really had standout weekends. Little Elm's a sleeper in that 6A district, and I think they can make some noise. Not that they're sleepy.
A sleepy sleeper is crazy.
I like it. A sleepy sleeper. Let's move to Houston. Mike, tip us off.
Yeah, once again, video guy over here. If you do something that impresses me, I've seen it all. Shia Francis, Houston Second Baptist, he jumps different. Like, we all looked at it and we're like, what is that? And it's just off the 2 feet. He just goes straight up into the air. Dunked on a kid. Mass, I think you asked me multiple times in like 3 minutes, hey, did you see that block he just did? And I said, yeah, I know. Now, I know we're running on fumes at Houston, so we're all a little delirious after running back-to-backs. But yeah, I saw it both times that you asked me.
My guy almost caught the ball at like the square. Like it was like one of those turbo blocks from Street Ball Volume 2. Like, like just catch it.
Yeah, and when you're talking about taps and looking for a show to see at the taps level, I mean, is there going to be a more electric situation than him and Reese Austin? It's going to be hard to find that. But yeah, Mr. Francis was being a bad dude down in Houston.
Blue, this game had it had everything. The Atascocita versus Houston Legacy game. And there, I liked this player that you put on there because I thought he played a big role in a high-intensity game. And his role was subtle, but he still impacted the game. Broderick Wyatt, Houston Legacy Sports.
He just fit, didn't he?
He
fit in with that high intensity of it didn't matter what 10 players were on the court.
Yeah.
Every single player was there as if it was a playoff game.
Yeah.
And it got rowdy. It got rowdy quick. There was some chaos to start the game, but it settled down and became one of the best games of maybe even the entire season. Yeah. That along with the Allen Duncanville. But Broderick, strong, lower body strong to be able to get off the ground, to go elevate and knock down shots, to be able to handle the ball and create. I mean, he was a complete player that he got everybody involved, and including himself. I mean, it was it's always nice just to kind of see kids in an atmosphere as intense as that was.
Absolutely, and there was about 10 kids that we could have put for that game.
That will be mentioned a lot in the Gasso newsletter for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, that will be covered in depth.
So Scotty, your name's coming soon, but
yeah, don't worry, man. I'm gonna go with Montana Wheeler, Xavier Academy. He's just my MVP of the weekend. Montana never disappoints. I've seen him 10 plus times, and I swear he just controls every game that he plays in. He buckles down and really guards the ball. He makes great decisions, and when he's scoring, it's a terrifying thing. And I just pure start to finish domination, and that's what Montana does. And if you haven't seen him, man, he's worth the price of admission. He is so much fun to watch. Lyndon, why don't you round us out here, and then we'll go to some of the under the radar players.
Yeah, Chase Richardson for Friendswood was,
he's not.
We talked a lot about how he just pops with his speed, but his ability to just beat dudes off the dribble one-on-one. His dribble weapons and acceleration out of his dribble weapons are insane.
Yeah.
And he's able to elevate and finish over that help defender when he shows up at the rim. This is only a 2027 we're talking about. This kid's got a lot of time to become a more complete player, even though I feel like he's well on his way to becoming that. But he showed us a lot in two big-time matchups against Xavier and then against Summer Creek where, he's not going by traffic cones. These are tough dudes that are guarding him, and he's tasked with trying to go get a bucket and create against.
Yeah. Let's head into platform performers, guys who use the Gasso experience to kind of add some buzz to their names heading into the high school year. Who is that for you, Mike?
Sabian McGraw, Frisco Panther Creek. He just always seems to produce. And when you go back and look at the film, 3-level scorer, high level in transition. And when you're looking for a senior at a Frisco school that's more under the radar than some of them because they're new, not only is Sabian doing his thing on the court, but he's also establishing a culture for a new Frisco Panther Creek. And as a senior, it was great to see him play at a high level, scoring the ball, getting in the paint. He's just very hard to keep in front.
Blue?
Right here, I'm going to go over to Canyon Randall, who has had a lot of success over the past 3 to 4 years. And Tayson Combs is the guy that I think showed glimpses over the past couple years, but he did have KJ Thomas, who was one of the best scorers in the entire state for 2 consecutive years. And so now that he's getting his turn, he's showing that he is more than just a guy that's going to be catching and shooting. He brings the ball up. He'll distribute the ball a little bit, but he is eyeing that basket. He can score from all 3 levels. He's a guy that's going to use his athleticism and his pop. I mean, he went down the middle of the lane, and he was going to posterize this guy. I think you were standing next to me, and I had he missed it, went to the free throw line. I went over to the head coach, Trevor Johnson. I said, "Is that typical?" He goes, "Yes." Because he can get off the floor in that body, that power that he has in that lower body. This is a guy that really I'm looking at as we go along here. I'm looking at this guy to create some buzz in terms of maybe some Division Ones, because I think that he's got a complete package that he hadn't been able to showcase completely. But here we are, and this team is completely different. We can talk about that later, but it's he's going to lead this team, and he's an exciting player.
I'll hop in here. Dylan Stephy, Frisco Memorial. Frisco Memorial, boy, they've been given a tough stretch of games from the Gasso crew in both September 7th and October 12th, and this team just has delivered. I don't think they've won every game, but they've been real tight in every single one of them. They went 1-1 last weekend. I think they won by 2 and lost by 2, something along those lines. But man, Dylan is a 2028, and we use the word, he just looks like he belongs. And there's some things that I look for, especially at that age, where just like he's not afraid. There was one play he tried to throw it over Luke Leskowski, and that's differently. And Luke gets it and steals it from him. Next time down, he goes right at him and tacks him and tries to make a play at him too. So it's just like this kid has confidence. He has swagger. He's on the floor for a really, really tough and talented Frisco Memorial group who's going to make a lot of noise this year. And he's just showing, he's showing that he belongs, and he's a player, and he's going to be a staple for this Frisco Memorial group for a long time coming. Lyndon, why don't you round us out here?
Yeah, James Spears for Garland Lakeview Centennial is going to turn a lot of heads this year.
Yeah.
That is a dude who has power, he has footwork, and he's really starting to develop his back to the basket scoring, his outside shot. I mean, there's a lot of potential and upside in this guy, and he was great as they went 2-0 this weekend. Garland Lakeview Centennial, I mean, that's a team. They had a rough go of it last year, but they may be surprising a lot of people.
A sleepy sleeper?
Some would say. Not me, but some.
I love it. Let's jump to Houston here, Mike.
Yeah, let's talk about David Chong. Carson Boyd's is gone now, and he was a show in itself, a human highlight reel. It was really cool to see David set the tone. It was his show on his terms, and you can't fake physicality. So he brought physicality, toughness, and production. And when you're looking at a Dickinson team that plays hard all the time, it's great. It was great to see David with the ball in his hands, making plays, but also setting the tone from who he is as a senior. Once again, we talk about seniors that have a lot to prove. He went out there, showed urgency, and got it done this weekend in a big way for Dickinson.
Michael, you cheated. He could have been a showman too, because he's a 30 ball waiting to happen at any point.
That's true.
Blue, who was your guy that was under the radar in Houston?
Yeah, Jeremiah Cooper, 6'7", 6'8". He's going to be we talk about the senior with some urgency. Westfield District, in their district, they've been at the top or near the top for many, many years now, for these past several years. And so he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be a force in the middle. You could see his ability just to be a shot blocker, get on the rim, above it, take his man when he got the ball in the paint, he was able to take his man, push him out of the way, go finish, played above the rim, just finishing and everything about like this at this point. When you have a big man that is that athletic and that mobile, things are going to start happening for him individually. But as the team goes, he was able to be a force on both sides, which I absolutely love. And I think this is what we've been waiting for a little bit, Mass. I mean, you and I waited a couple years ago, heard the buzz, kind of see him developing over the years. And now here we are that where when I talked about the sense of urgency and what the pulse was and everything else at the beginning of the show, this is a guy that I had on my mind. This is the kind of player that gets it at this early in the season to get there and go, I got to do something to make things happen for my team.
Very, very talented player. I'm going to go with Royal Mayfield, Cy Springs. With the departure of Landon Veal, Stoney had not graduates. You still got a talented group of players here at Cy Springs, and Royal Mayfield's the guy that they're looking to lead that. And he's a playmaker, a scorer, a slasher, and I think he's going heavily under the radar. And I think he is a college prospect who teams have to know about. Long, rangy kid who just makes plays, and Cy Springs is going to be really, really tough again. Lyndon?
Yeah, for me, and this guy, I just from the buzz on social media, has had a huge fall, and I got to see him for the first time this fall on Sunday. Deterick Buckner from Humble. I mean, he's got the frame to deliver punishment on his way to the rim as a guard. He can make shots from the outside. He's a dude who is a huge stock riser in that 2026 class. And we talk about Jayquarius and Lincoln in the 27 class with him. Humble's going to be a very big surprise this year, I think, and make a lot of noise as they're in a tough district. But hey, anything can happen when you have dudes like that who are that talented.
I love it. Let's turn our eyes towards November in the high school season. And this was Michael's idea to give one bold prediction as we look towards this high school season. So, Michael, I'm going to pass it to you first, and you're going to give us your bold prediction.
Yeah, I think this year, just getting into the playoffs matters so much, just with new avenues, not the traditional, okay, I know I'm playing this team usually in a bye district, or there's just different paths for success. So my bold prediction is that a fourth place team in a district is going to make a regional final. Just because it's just get in this year, because we all try to sit down and kind of start looking at different scenarios of who's going big, who's going small. And it's just really who knows at this point. So let's stop doing the math, get in the playoffs. It doesn't matter if you sneak in. I feel like somebody that sneaks in on the last day of district play is going to make a deep, deep playoff run.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and I said I think there's going to be not devil's advocate, but I'm gonna kind of agree and play on the other side of the coin. On the top end, I think there might be another undefeated team this season simply because of the divisions. No, I'm not going to say who I think it's going to be, or I don't know exactly how it might break, but I just think there's going to be a different opportunity for a team to make a run. One less playoff game is helpful, right? Lyndon?
I'll jump right here.
Oh, go Blue.
Well, I was just going to jump right here and say, hey, there's going to be 2 state champions that will be crowned from the same district.
I love it.
Once again, I don't know what district that will be because I don't have the numbers in front of me. But you know who has the numbers? Those when you talk to a high school coach, oh, we're big, we're small, and they can give you scenarios.
Yes.
I came in contact with one college coach, one high school coach, and I said to him, like, where would you fall in the pecking order? Oh, I don't know. I'm like, come on, coach. Everybody's looked at it, right? But this is a scenario here that where you have such these hard districts that you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Mass, that where there's going to be multiple guys from those districts that are going to be making big runs. They're going to have a chance to go get crowned at the end of the year. And I think that kind of makes it – there's a silver lining in all of this, right? There's difference of opinion as Lyndon has dove into once this decision was made. There's difference of opinion, but then the silver lining here is like, hey, what if this scenario really does play out like that?
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. Lyndon, why don't you round us out here?
Yeah, I got 2. So my unbold prediction is going to be that this whole division thing is going to confuse the heck out of me because I've already tried to start a spreadsheet where it's like, okay, 8-team district, these 2 have to go big, these 2 have to go small, the 4 in the middle, it's going to depend on how the chips fall, where they go. It's just really complicated and really time-consuming, but it's going to be confusing as we try to rank these guys. My bold prediction for this year, though, a team that starts outside of our initial 25 top ranked is going to win a state championship.
I love it.
Oh, I kind of thought about that one too. That's a good one.
I'm annoyed. Y'all had really good ones. Anyways, thanks
for
tuning in.
Going undefeated. Look how long it took for that to happen. It had been a while, Mass.
One less. I don't know. I think one less game helps. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to say. I'll tell y'all who I think it's going to be, and maybe I'll reveal it later. Michael, don't bait me. That's going to do it for this GASOCast, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, as always.